So this movie stars Emma Stone and Emma Thompson, with a conflict between them. I guess you could say it's kind of a dilemma. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today our movie in the middle is Cruella. Cruella stars Emma Stone and Emma Thompson and is the origin story adaptation of the scary as hell, dog-napping fashionista herself, Cruella de Vil. This is yet again another one of those kind of Joker, promising young woman-esque movies where you have the anti-hero, or actually the villain, being the hero, and we sort of see their side of things, and it's kind of this rebellious, like, I know I shouldn't root for you, but I'm going to anyway. But this one, obviously, because it's Disney, is not as R-rated, but it's still pretty cool, if I'm being honest. The biggest high is obviously Emma Stone and Emma Thompson. To be honest, I thought Emma Thompson was going to be a really boring character, kind of a generic, stuck-up, rich, I'm the big person who invents all these things, and she is, but she is actually very funny. While she is sort of that regular villain, she does have a lot of interesting parts about her, and it might honestly just be Emma Thompson is awesome. And she just steals so many scenes just by being her. She just has that presence and that quick wit. But obviously the biggest star is Emma Stone, who plays Cruella de Vil herself, as she is discovering her sort of Cruella side, because she plays Estella, who is her good side, and Cruella, who is her mean side, who comes out every so often. This story is about her transformation into Cruella fully, as she discovers more about her mom's death and this mystery that surrounds it. She actually is very captivating. Her character is really interesting, and just the way that she plays it, it's you do root for her, and she really does pull off that sense of like madness pretty well. It does have this layer of Disney cheekiness to it, but I'll get to that in a second. But the conflict between them is the most interesting part, about how Emma Thompson's character, the Baroness, will try to come up with a new design, or at least have her workers do it for her, and then how Cruella, Estella, whoever it is at the moment, kind of ups her and, upstages her a little bit, or a lot of bit, in some scenes. Horace and Jasper as well were actually very entertaining, and I liked that they weren't just bumbling fools the whole time. They actually had a lot of depth and heart and seriousness, and they really, funny enough, were the ones that, instead of just following Cruella around, they kind of brought her down a little bit. They toned her down and were kind of her grounding, and I thought that was an actually really great thing to do with their characters. This is also one of the most aesthetically interesting of the Disney live-action movies. The Disney live-actions have gotten really generic lately, and in this one, they actually, still being Disney and still not being able to do, fully adult stuff, they actually made it really interesting. Every aesthetic and stylistic choice that they did was actually really cool. They have a lot of montages. They have, obviously, all the costumes are incredible. The style of just how they filmed some things, colors, and everything that they did to design the shots was surprisingly very captivating. And just some of the things that they did in terms of the characters, in terms of how they portrayed some of these upstagings, it was weird. It wasn't risky for Disney, but it felt like it was. There's a scene where there's actually a whole concert sort of being put on, but it's almost like a rave sort of thing. It was interesting. I was a little surprised, but very pleased. And the soundtrack, I mean, you talk about stylistic, I mean, this soundtrack was actually incredibly awesome. It was one song after the other, and a lot of mainstream songs, that kind of older classic rock, British rock kind of thing. It was like what Suicide Squad should have done if they wanted to have back-to-back mainstream interesting songs. Again, there are a lot of montages in this movie, so it lends itself, but because they picked really good songs to go with it and with the characters, I don't know, it was awesome, to be honest. Tonally, it was great as well in terms of it being a lot darker than Disney usually goes, at least recently, because Disney used to be very dark. And this one, while it isn't, again, super scary or anything, it is darker than Disney has done in a long time. And I was really happy about that. Getting into the lows, there is still here and there, especially in the beginning, the element of generic Disney cheekiness, them trying to be slick, but it's just kind of regular, or the jokes fall flat. Especially in the beginning, there is a shit ton of exposition. And not that that's a bad thing, but it's so generic and generically written, I just didn't care as much. It sets up the main mystery and premise of the movie, but it just feels at the beginning like, oh my god, we're in another generically acted, regularly scripted Disney live action movie. Like, there's literally a part, I'm just so sick of this, when Estella gets kicked out of school, sort of. It's that scene in the car where she's like, I'll be better, and the mom's like, oh, okay, well, we'll get through this. No, you know what? The parents would be pissed. Like, I don't know. It just, it's, I know Disney's all about, like, the happy endings and stuff, for the most part. It's that, like, be realistic, at least a little bit. But, again, it gets better, especially when Emma Stone gets there. And as for how Emma Stone's Cruella is written, it's really cool because she is very rebellious. She is a little mad, you know, she goes a little crazy, and it's cool. But the problem with it is that the transformation is way too quick. She obviously already has some of that in her when she's younger, but then when she tries to be normal and then she transforms completely into Cruella, there is a scene where you see her start to, like, go a little crazy. Like, after she's driving and she's, like, hunched over and she's like, what am I gonna do, you know? After that, I was like, great. She's just learned something that could really kick off, like, her spiraling into going insane. And the next scene, she's like Cruella. And I'm like, if you had made it more gradual, I would have believed it. Because even some of the characters in the movie are like, what are you doing? The act's over. Like, stop doing this character.
Why are you doing this bit?
She's like, no, it's just who I am now. And I'm like, okay, but if you can get past, like, the transformation just happened and you're like, all right, she's Cruella now, it's cool. It's really cool. I just wish she had been more scary. I don't know how they could have done it while also being the hero, like the main protagonist of the movie. But Cruella de Vil, besides being rebellious and a little mad, is absolutely terrifying. I wish they had made her a little scarier. I don't know, they still have some hints of it here and there, which were pretty cool. One last thing I will mention that I was very happy about. Disney said that this was their first openly gay character, Artie. And while I was kind of on the side of, I feel like they've had a lot of those first openly gay characters, this one I think really was their first, like, alright, this guy's gay. I was super excited about the fact that they didn't push it. They didn't make it like here he is, you know, and this is they didn't try to, like, show it off. They just said, here's the character, he's gonna be in his scenes, he's gonna do some really cool, good things, you know, with the story. And that's it. We're not going to push it. Because it normalizes it. It doesn't show it off. I was very happy about that. Overall, Cruella is actually a surprisingly good Disney live-action movie comparatively to what they've had the last few years, where they've gotten a little generic, a little money-grabby. This one actually had a little bit of style, a darker tone, really great acting for the most part, an actually interesting dynamic. I quite enjoyed this movie. Is it the best one that they've had? Probably not. I would say Jungle Book maybe is a little bit better, but this one's definitely almost more interesting to watch, especially considering we don't know exactly what's coming. I'm going to give Cruella a 3 out of 4. What did you think of Cruella? Did you think it was one of the better Disney live actions? Did you think that it actually went well with 101 Dalmatians? I know that there's a little bit of differentiation here and there with her character and the story, but I feel like with something like this, you have to make it a little different, otherwise we can't root for her. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe, and as always, keep your hopes high, your stress low, and movies right in the middle. I'll see you guys later.